Hey, Fight fans, it's SoCal Val back with another exclusive interview about Cagefighter Worlds Collide. The film premieres on May 16th on FITE.tv and, of course, on the FITE TV app. And joining me now is Luke Rockhold. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, as good as can be.
Exactly. In this current climate, we're so thrilled you could join us virtually. First of all, how you been holding up during this lockdown?
Doing my best, trying to stay in shape. I had surgery a little while ago, so kind of a good time to recover.
Yeah, absolutely. That's about all we have to do right now is relax, right?
Relax, recover, and just getting life together. It's nice.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, obviously you have an amazing, outstanding career in MMA, and all of our fans on FITE TV, they love combat sports, whether it be pro wrestling or MMA. But what's wonderful about this film is those two worlds are finally colliding. So first of all, for the fans that might not know you, they're just saying hello now, can you give us a little bit of your background?
Luke Rockhold, I'm former Strikeforce and UFC champion. Been fighting for 15 years. And dabbling in the movie business now. It's not too far out of my realm, out of my wheelhouse here with the Cagefighter Worlds Collide. So it was a great start. It was a fun movie, and it's a cool concept. No one's really done that in the movie. And the movie world is making those two worlds collide like they have in real life. And so it's an interesting look and a lot of real tough guys, guys that can fight. And so there's a lot of realness to it, and just tried to add some more to it myself.
Absolutely. Now, was there something that sort of made you want to do the transition into acting? Like, what made you catch the acting bug? Was it a certain moment or a certain film that you saw?
No, I've earned my money the hard way for many years, and so I feel like I've earned a couple of easier paychecks where I don't have to completely beat the shit out of my body. So it's nice to act it out rather than always have to be live in action.
Yeah. Well, part of your career that I actually found really interesting was that, speaking of things you can't have black eyes for, you've done a bit of modeling as well for Ralph Lauren in New York Fashion Week. So you're sort of a jack of all trades.
I'm not opposed to paychecks. So it's not a bad gig traveling. Like I said, I've earned it the hard way. So it's nice to get around and travel, take pictures, get paid for being handsomely, and shoot with some supermodels around the world. I don't think many people would turn that offer down if it presented to their doorstep.
Not too shabby, and I think that might be a T-shirt. Get paid handsomely to be handsome. Or maybe a mug, some kind of merch deal.
Yeah. Like that, right? Yeah.
Well, I have to ask, with pro wrestling being something that's such a big popular thing on FITE TV and a huge part of this movie with John Moxley in the cast and, of course, Jay Riso, who we know is Christian from pro wrestling. What were your thoughts on pro wrestling? Did you watch it ever? Were you a fan?
I mean, like I think anybody in my generation, there was a point where we all tuned in and before. So, I mean, it was a big thing. Back in the day, we all thought it was real. And
Yeah.
so back then it was so intriguing. It was like these guys are doing those things, and obviously Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior I was a massive fan of, and coming up it was definitely a big part of my childhood. I'm not going to say I follow it too much these days because I don't, but I have admiration for the guys, and the guys were really, really cool to work with. Christian was awesome. I got a day with him. I didn't really get to work with Moxley. We were offset timing, but a lot of good people on set, and I'm excited for the movie. It was a fun production.
Cool. Well, we're excited to see you in it, and of course, Chuck Liddell being a part of the cast was just such a treat for all of our MMA fans. Now, you mentioned some of the wrestlers you watched growing up. Who in MMA and other sports did you idolize when you were younger?
Of course, Chuck. Chuck is he's been there for me since day one. We grew up with the same manager, and so Chuck was from the very beginning I started. He was always there, and I always looked up to him. Of course, Randy too, and Henderson, and a lot of guys. Watching Pride, I think it was my first look at MMA, and Hickson Gracie and and Fedor and a lot of the guys out there. It was pretty cool to see. Hickson was like my first like kind of real introduction, and seeing him versus Zulu, crazy fights they had back in the day in Japan was my hook.
Wasn't it crazy to think that now, especially you becoming this infamous movie star, that now young kids are going to be looking up and looking to be the next Luke Rockhold? So I'm sure you meet a lot of, aspiring MMA fighters, aspiring actors as well. Do you have any advice for our younger generation of fight fans that might want to one day do what you do?
I'd say just obviously put your head down and work hard. I mean, you gotta do more than everybody else around you. If you see somebody that's doing more than you, you gotta outdo them. So that was always my train of thought. Surround yourself by the best people you can, and outdo them all.
Good advice.
But more work, and more time, more effort, more everything.
Yeah. Obviously, working in MMA and wrestling, you get a lot of hard workers out there, a lot of intensity. But obviously, we're excited for the film being, featuring pro wrestling and MMA. Can you give us sort of a synopsis of Cagefighter? I know our fans are excited to see kind of how the story unfolds. So without spoilers, can you tell us about the film?
Well, it's going to be without spoiling it. It's gonna go through the trail of the reality of what has happened in real life. I mean, you see the pro wrestling world. The guys come over and they make a stance, and they make themselves be heard, and they overpower the situation, and then sure enough, technique and true fighter comes out, and someone will come on top, no matter whether it be the fighter or the wrestler. But someone will prevail, and it's a good back and forth tale, and the better man wins.
A little good versus evil action. We love that. Now, tell us about the role of Tony Gunn. So that's who you're playing in the film. What's he like? Are we gonna love him? We're gonna hate him?
You're gonna fucking hate him.
Yay!
I didn't try to get too far outside myself for this one. I played an interesting role, and then really went above and beyond. So I hope you really dislike me.
If we walk away hating you, then you've done your job, right?
Cheers to that. Yeah. Thank
Cool. My next question was gonna be, how does he differ from you, or who did you maybe study or try to emulate, or like put little shades of someone that you know into the role? Was it sort of just like letting the bad boy come out? I mean, that must have been kind of liberating.
Very. I've played that role before. I let the bad boy come out from time to time. So I just had to kind of take it to the next level, just notch it up a bit.
Cool. Very
so
cool.
it's a little bit of everybody, a little bit of the deep dark side of myself.
Yeah, and you don't want to mention any names too. If you're like, oh yeah, I played it off this guy, and then he'll get all mad, and then because he's a villain. Yeah, we don't want to get you in trouble.
just gonna bury myself in this one. It's just all me. It's all me.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, the cast looks amazing. I was excited to see Gina Gershon because I've seen her in so many films. I think she's such a badass, boss babe. Chuck, like you mentioned, Jay Riso. We've got John Moxley. I know you said you didn't have a lot of time with Christian, but did you have a lot of time with the cast? Did they seem to get along and mesh well?
Yeah, no, I had some time with Gina. Gina is the boss lady that she is. She comes in and plays that role perfectly. We had a couple good scenes, and everyone else, like Alex, really went up above and beyond, and I didn't really know too much about him, but he's a talented actor and a good fighter too at that. Christian was awesome. Everybody else, it was a good. Chuck, I got a lot of work with Chuck. I've always obviously worked with Chuck, but the first time really being on set and working in a movie, and Chuck can act. Guy puts in a lot of effort and focuses in. So it was fun. It was just a lot of fun in cold ass Regina, 25 below zero. It was a cool setting. There's a lot of movies being made there. There's a lot of history out on that place in Saskatchewan. So
while you
add to it.
While you guys were out there, I have to ask, were there any pranksters on set, any goofing off? I feel like the wrestlers would probably be the ones to make the trouble, but any jokes going on there in the set? Did you guys have fun?
We had fun. We had a good time. Yeah, no doubt.
Awesome. Awesome. I can
It was
just
too
see the
cold.
camaraderie.
It was too cold not to. You had to keep yourself warm by somehow, some way.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, me and Chuck, we walked down the street to get dinner, like about 100 yards maybe from the hotel, and it felt like our ears were like falling off. And of course, in Saskatchewan, a lot of MMA fans in Saskatchewan. You're walking down the street like all barreled up, and the ambulance stops us halfway through, 50 yards into this walk, and we had to take pictures with the ambulance guys. Chuck is he's a big red flag walking around with his head exposed. So then we froze even more before we got to the restaurant. Luckily, the restaurant closed actually in the midst of that timing. The restaurant was closing, and so luckily they opened the doors for us and gave us a nice meal.
Cool. I hope that this was documented on social media. Do we get to see any behind the scenes stuff on your Twitter, Instagram?
I'm sure it'll all come out here fairly soon. Definitely.
Very cool. Well, the coolest part to me is that, I love to hear about the filmmaking and sort of what went on behind the scenes. And FITE TV is giving all of our fans for free access to a roundtable Q&A discussion after the film. It's included in the price. So as soon as the movie's over, everyone's going to be in there answering questions from the fans. So can you tell us more about that? And maybe, are you excited to talk to the fans and get in there?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun seeing everybody get involved together and everyone's perspective and get the fans' take. I'm proud of the movie, and I know everybody else is too, and I'm excited to see it all come into action. I mean, there's some real deal things. I mean, there's a lot of injuries, like real fights. It's almost like tournament style, because it's you got to keep working up to that last fight, and these actors are getting beat up in the fights, and they're beating the crap out of each other. And I'm telling you, those last couple of fights weren't easy for our guys to get involved, get in, limping into the cage and trying to put on a show, trying to do what they could. So
yeah,
there'll be some interesting takes on that, and I think there'll be some good stories, post movie.
Yeah, the trailer alone, which we're going to publish right after this interview, you guys will see there's some brutal, intense fights in the movie. And I talked to Jesse, actually, the director, who not only said that the action is really intense, but he said that there's no stuntmen here. So it's all of you guys in there, really just letting it loose. And I know personally, John Moxley is really hot right now in professional wrestling. Has a history of, hardcore wrestling. And then of course, Alex, I've seen quite a bit of his footage. I've seen him in Bama here in the UK. But yeah, is that something that you think the fans are going to love? It's not only the story, but also the action.
Yeah, I mean it's so real, It's everybody comes from a very tough walk of life, and they come in and they really put on a show, and they really put on fights. So I mean, even training, we went in and I got to train with Alex and Jesse, and even Jesse was taking his lumps, I may or may not have tore his hamstring.
This is allegedly.
Allegedly, and Jesse had, even the directors were limping and their way on the set.
Wow, that's amazing. That's the kind of exclusive that we like, to hear that the director was right in the thick of it.
Yeah, everyone was limping on the set, not just in every shape and form, for sure. It was fun.
And here you probably thought, okay, wow, I can actually transition out of the, getting beat up, and then you go to the movie and that's what happens. Wow. Any injuries from anyone on set? Now I have to ask.
I have to talk to Jesse on that one. Jesse, Alex, maybe just go down the line. Just go on the line. But I'm sure post movie, it'll you can re-ask that question.
I'm sure it'll all be worth it in the end. Well, I have to ask, what are they going to be taking away from this film, without spoiling it? Are they going to walk away feeling motivated, inspired? Is it sort of a good versus evil story that's going to leave us happy?
I mean, it's a real life story. There's a little bit of a good versus evil. There's just the reality of two different personas coming into play, and two different lifestyles and clashing, and it's fun, it's exciting, and the better man wins in the end. So it's a good back and forth story, and a lot of real fight scenes, and just it's gonna be fun. And just enjoy, don't miss it, and I'll see you at the post interviews. And we'll talk about it.
Well, this is the perfect time to be entertaining yourselves with Cagefighter Worlds Collide on FITE TV live May 16th. This is one day only, guys. It's a 24-hour rental, so make sure that you don't miss it. Here's some more info on how to order, and of course, the official trailer is coming right up. Don't miss Cagefighter Worlds Collide live on FITE TV May 16th for one day only. This is a 24-hour rental that you don't want to miss. It's available worldwide, excluding the U.S. and Caribbean. For pricing and start times in your country, visit FITE.tv or the FITE TV app. And now, here's the official trailer for Cagefighter Worlds Collide.
The Legends Cage is reserved for the very best fighters on the planet, and Reese Gibbons is the best of the best. The 5-time champion has faced all challenges and cleared out his division, but his 6th title defense presents a new challenge. Wrestling champion Randy Stone.
For a world champion, I don't think he's ever been hit by a guy like me. It's gonna be like getting hit by a truck.
Randy as an opponent, he's a clown.
Randy is the most divisive figure to ever step foot in the Legends Cage, splitting the world of MMA and professional wrestling right down the middle.
Live from London, England! Are you ready for a new legend?
All eyes will be on this fight, and one thing is for sure, the world of professional wrestling and the world of MMA will collide.